Welcome to the Opportunity Podcast, where entrepreneurs come to learn from real buyers, sellers, and industry experts on the lesser-known growth opportunities to build their online business empires. We'll uncover tactics veteran online business entrepreneurs have used to build, buy, flip, and sell their way towards personal wealth. Sit back, grab a coffee, and get ready to uncover hidden growth secrets. The Opportunity Podcast starts now.
Hey, and welcome back to the Opportunity Podcast, your go-to resource for hidden growth opportunities throughout online business. We're your hosts. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Sarah.
And thanks for joining us today for our latest episode. Today, we will be speaking with Josh Mitchell, who is a buyer of 2 Amazon Associates, display advertising, and affiliate businesses from our marketplace.
Yeah, so Josh is going to go over how to spot easy growth wins in the content site space and how he was able to grow a $90K acquisition from a marketplace into more than a 7-figure business as it stands today. So pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's a really great story to hear from him. And he's also going to be sharing how you can capitalize on an asset that has a larger amount of traffic landing on 1 or 2 specific pages. Also, how you can expand your content to convert this traffic using other well-known marketing techniques.
Yeah, we won't give away too much now. We're going to dig into the interview and see what Josh has to share. And then at the end of the episode, we'll go over some of the best listings on the Empire Flippers marketplace that highlight the growth opportunities we've learned about today. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. We have Josh Mitchell joining us today, and he's going to go over a couple acquisitions he's done with us. So Josh, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thanks, Sarah. I'm well. It's a beautiful day here in Sydney, Australia, so excited to chat to both of you.
Well, I'm jealous. I'm sure your weather in Sydney is a lot better than Belfast, where I am right now. So that's awesome. Yeah, so we haven't had the chance to talk yet, and I don't know a lot about your background. Obviously, the audience won't know a lot about you either. So can you just introduce me to your background? You know, how did you get started in the online business scene? And yeah, just walk me through that a bit.
Sure. I was a professional footballer, your football, not American football, for 15 years, and I retired a couple of years ago. And towards the end of my career, I started thinking, what am I going to do next once football ends? And I got into online business and started building some sites with some friends, just really small things. I actually followed the AdSense flippers, so the Justin and Joe's previous venture, and that got us started. And we went down that path, learning how to build and manage some sites. It was not very successful. It was quite unsuccessful, I would say, but it gave me a good start in online business. And yeah, I decided to keep going, and here we are today.
Oh, wow. Cool that you're following all the way back from the AdSense Flippers days. That's awesome. Now, tell me about the leap from, trying projects on your own and sort of figuring things out and failing to you get to the point where you're comfortable enough to take the leap to buy an online business. Can you maybe walk me through that and what changed and made you feel ready to buy?
Sure. So it was a few years ago, I think around 2015, 2016. I worked with a couple of friends. We did a course here or there. So we paid for an online course that gave us some guidance, and we went through those steps. So we learned through that, how to start a site, what to look for in content. We learned the basics, I guess. And we put some money into that, a lot of time and effort, and we had some small results, but it wasn't great. And then I decided myself, I thought, this looks good. This model looks good, this business model, but I need to get under the hood. I need to figure out what others have done already to see what exactly works. Because at that stage, what we were doing was working, but not enough to really make a huge difference in my life. So I went on the Empire Flippers marketplace and I purchased my first site. I think that might have been December 2016. And I did that because, I wanted to make the leap and speed up the process of learning.
Yeah, I wanted to pick up on that note because it's really interesting that what you were saying, it's like you're taking some courses, you were learning a little bit about content. Like, I'm curious, before we sort of walk away from that, I wanted to know why content, of all the monetizations out there, why did you start gravitating towards content-based businesses, and what boxes did that tick for you?
Yeah, it's a good question because a lot of people don't really think of content as a long-term thing. They just think of it as a simple thing. But for me, it was scalable. It was controllable to an extent. It fitted in nicely with simple model that work. Most of the time, a lot of people will look at different, especially in, say, the startup world or even in online business, they'll look at complicated, I need to make something new, I need to reinvent the wheel. But in reality, no, you can just do something that's been done for years and years and years and continues to be done, and you can do it really well and you can have good results from that.
That's a great answer. I just wanted to make sure, before we want to get into the details of your business, that I understood that a bit more. So, no, thanks for that.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see, Josh, that back in 2016, you were able to come in and you found this Amazon Associates business in the home niche, which both of the sites that you purchased from a marketplace are both in the home niche as well. And we'll get into that in a little bit later. But so you purchased this business for $44K back in 2016. And did you kind of witness growth right from the beginning or the start? Or did you kind of go through a few troubles or a few challenges before you really start to see the business pick up?
I wouldn't say I experienced rapid growth, but it certainly didn't decline either. It was quite steady. I believe it grew over time in the sense that, it's in the home niche. It's a little seasonal towards sort of summer in the US. So I bought it in the winter time, and by the summertime, I think I'd made a few changes and it had grown slightly and then kept working on it. And then I think the following summer, it had a really good summer. It essentially doubled in size by then in terms of revenue per month without really having any expenses. So it was very steady. It was a very safe site. Looking back, there wasn't much risk. The niche was really good. The backlink profile, all the technical aspects of the website were pretty set, and it still competes today for those search terms in that sort of category.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see you've still been able to grow this business a couple of years after you purchased this asset from a marketplace for $44K. You then went on to buy a $90K asset in the home niche, also an Amazon Associates business. And one thing I did notice looking at the differences between the two was that the $90K business was using PBNs and the smaller site wasn't. Now, is that something that you were kind of more comfortable now having ran an Amazon Associates business and you're more comfortable with kind of what impact PBNs have, or was this something completely different that you were just trying something new?
Yeah, it's a good question. Typically, I don't focus on the PBNs. I would prefer a site not to have that. To be honest, I just thought this was a good site with a good domain, a good deal, good opportunity to improve. And the PBN was secondary. It wasn't a huge focus, especially because of the plans I had at that stage for the site. I could see where I wanted to take it in terms of new content, in terms of building it out. There was a lot that could be done to it that would then make the site more of an authority, and the PBN would become less of a potential issue.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So PBN's not sort of like kind of something that as a red flag to you per se. Now, is there any types of PBNs that you might stay away from? Like say if you were to acquire another business down the road, now having this experience over the years?
Yeah, typically I say we because I have a business partner now. We stay away from the PBNs quite a lot. I mean, it depends. If I would want to talk to the owner and understand what they've done in terms of a PBN if I bought one. I have friends who run PBNs and run them very successfully because they spend a lot of time. They're meticulous in what they do around the PBN. They don't just buy from reputable sources and just slap links up willy-nilly. They'll actually focus on where they're putting their links, what sites, what backlink profiles each site has. So it can be quite complex, which I don't particularly like, but it can be done. I think it's just due diligence is needed in that process.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. Like you said, it's like, I think PBNs sometimes they might scare off potential buyers, but it's like really all it takes is digging in and asking that seller, and it doesn't have to be a mystery. Like oftentimes the seller's a good seller, and they usually are. They're going to be able to reveal some of that and help you figure that out and how you can transition into that as a buyer, which I feel like is probably like good buying advice, just to know it's better to ask than just to completely walk away from it. But in any case, I do want to know, like, one of the things we do want to accomplish for our listeners is just laying out different roadmaps of what a good acquisition looks like and how to implement growth when you take on a new business. So now I understand you did a couple different changes to the business once you took it over your wing or under your wing. So let's walk through this step by step. Can you just tell me like the differences that you made and maybe just kind of a timeline of when you implemented them? And let's think about it from, I think it was the $90K business, right, that you guys had discussed previously?
Sure. So that one was bought, I think, September 2018. So a couple of years ago. And that one was an interesting one because it was a small site. So I think it had around 25 to 30 pages. And $90,000 is and was a lot of money, especially then. But I saw opportunity for expansion in terms of content. Most people will say that, or most experts that are giving advice will say that, oh, you shouldn't buy a site that relies on too much traffic to one or two pages. But this particular site had, I think it had 40-something% to one page. But I saw the opportunity in that the home niche to expand to hundreds of pages within that core topic. So despite that being a red flag for some people, for me, that was an opportunity. And I saw the way I could expand. So basically, I bought the site. I started doing keyword research and adding pages related to the topic. And then it turns out there was more and more and more and more. And I could keep doing that sort of even over the last 2 years.
Wow. That's super interesting because it's, like you said, like most people would have walked away and gone 40% of traffic to one page. No way. Like, I'm not touching it. I'm curious, like, how long did it take for you to start diversifying traffic to some of those new pages when you started implementing that and adding that in?
It didn't take long. And the main reason was the search term, this one page that was taking most of the traffic. It was a difficult search term to rank for. It was competing with some big players, some ones like Wirecutter and things like that. And it was ranking them. And there was a few reasons, I think. And that allowed me to, as soon as I was putting content up, it was getting indexed, it was getting ranking in it. And it kind of quickly, that diversification, I was able to really spread the pages out. And I think now that 8% is the main page in terms of traffic.
Okay. And sorry, I don't know if I missed this kind of an explanation, but how many pages do you have now? Because you said you started with 25 to 30 pages, and how much content did you ultimately end up adding?
It's still going, to be honest. I have around 200 and something, 20, I think, but there's no plans to slow down. I think I've been working on it this week even still, and see another 50 to 100 pages being added over the next 6 to 12 months.
Oh, wow. And you're doing most of this yourself, or you have a team or outsourced writers helping you?
No, I have a team. So my business has expanded a lot. I have a business partner, and we have a big team now of 7 freelancers plus about 20 writers.
Oh, wow.
Well, mostly freelance. We have some virtual assistants who are full-time. But in general, everyone else is freelance, and they're based in the US or the UK, especially the writers.
Okay. It's impressive. Yeah, because I was thinking, gosh, to get this business up to 200 pages, like surely you're really impressive working on your own, or you have a team. That makes a lot of sense. What about, diversifying income and sort of just adding new affiliates? Like, how did you go about, expanding outside of just Amazon Associates?
Yeah, with the recent Amazon cut, the one in earlier this year, I'd started previously, so it was something that was on my mind. In this particular, the niche, the products, there is opportunity for that. A lot of them do have either their own or they're on different platforms. Commission Junction worked for me. They seem to have a lot in this particular niche. So I found some there that were giving 7-8%, especially when the Amazon cut came in. So I added a lot of those I didn't change. I added sort of links to those pages as well as Amazon. And then it's helped in diversification. I think now the site's up to about 12 different revenue streams, and probably I'd say 3/4 of them, 75%, would be affiliates.
Is that just spread across the larger listing that you purchased from our marketplace, or are you also using a lot of these similar affiliate networks on the lower listing business that you had acquired?
Not really. That one's a little more challenging. They don't have a lot of, apart from sort of Home Depot, they don't have a lot of options in terms of affiliate, but I've added Mediavine ad revenue to both sites now as well. So there are other ways. The 90K one also does some lead gen, so various forms and sign-ups and things for other companies. So take some additional revenue there just to really diversify that one and have a good spread across many revenue streams.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you bring that up right now, Josh, because that actually leads me into my next question for you about how you were able to capitalize a lead generation service to help you grow, an Amazon Associates business. It's not often that we hear buyers on our marketplace or sellers on our marketplace that talk about using a lead generation service for an affiliate site. So can you walk us through where your mindset was incorporating this type of service into your business model, where it was that you were looking for this service, and then how you implemented it ultimately into your asset?
Sure. I must say that this is something that I'm still working on, and it's something that I struggle with sometimes. There's a whole other industry with this lead gen and building websites and everything else. So it's a good learning experience for me. I think I just saw opportunity. I'm sure many owners, even once they get to a certain amount, they're going to start to look at, or they should be looking at, different ways to monetize it beyond just ads and Amazon affiliates. So this one worked for me just because the niche I'm in, there is that demand for homeowners to want these services. So it was like, well, how do I provide that for them? What keywords can I go for? And then what can I do to direct this buyer traffic? But they might not be buying a product as such, or they might need help in buying this product from someone more experienced. So I implemented some pop-up type things on the page, added some phone calls. They would call the phone number to speak to someone, and if they were on the phone long enough, I would get pay-per-call fee. And then some other just various forms are inbuilt into pages to where people can put their information in, and if they leave email, phone number, things like that, I can get paid for a lead as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that you've been able to implement this kind of business model into your digital asset and use it to your advantage to capture every potential lead or every potential traffic customer, if you will, that's landing on your site, whether they're going off to Amazon and purchasing something or going through one of the display ad networks. So it's really great that you're really taking full advantage of everyone that's landing on these pages to at least capture some type of revenue share from that traffic. And then it's also interesting to see and look a little bit deeper into the differences between this specific business that you purchased for $90K and the one that you purchased back in 2016 for $40K. So this business that you just recently purchased, that's what we kind of got our buyer ROI call study information from. And during that call, we discovered you were able to double the monthly net profits from the time you had owned it, or taking it over, I should say. But I'm curious, how has the other business, since we didn't get a chance to really talk about that one much on our call, that you purchased for $40K, how has that one been performing recently, especially with everything that's been going on right now with the pandemic felt on a global basis?
Sure. I think we spoke a while ago, so it's actually just been sort of peak period for both sites. With the Amazon cuts, all the gains, most of the gains from the original 44K purchase were cut. So it's gone, say, back down to, it's making around 3,000 to 4,000 a month over the summertime, where before it was making sort of got up to around 5 or 6 prior to the cuts. So it was doing really well. Obviously, I think it was making around 2,000 a month when I bought it, 1,900 or something like that. It essentially tripled over the years. But yeah, unfortunately with the Amazon, it's gone back down to sort of more like a doubling of what it was. In saying that, I've left that one pretty stagnant over time and haven't worked that much. And right now we're actually going back and trying to add some more content, look at some more options in terms of, maybe some lead gen, because there's an opportunity there for lead gen in that one, or just improving traffic.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking out loud here. It's just really impressive that you've been able to sort of double and triple your assets. Like, these are accomplishments that like not every buyer is able to do.
90K one.
Oh, sorry.
For me, I think now it's probably worth somewhere between 1 and 2 million.
Oh my gosh.
Like if I was to come to you guys and list it, it's worth a lot more now.
Yeah, that's a good thing to hear, that's for sure.
That's incredibly impressive. Okay, so you're saying the 90K site is now worth probably north of 7 figures. And then the 40K site, you were saying tripled, but because of the Amazon cuts, is still sitting at like double, worth what you bought it for.
Yeah, as a minimum, I'd say, because I feel like the 44K one still has a bit of work to do to it in terms of it can add more easy content and gain some more traffic, which will help with the ad revenue and also sort of the Amazon. So I think it can be pushed a little further, but I see it sort of pushing its limits in terms of content and what's available. Whereas the 90K site, I've been working on that one quite hard because it's a bit bigger niche, it's a bit more lucrative, and over the summer period, it's just been going crazy despite the Amazon cuts. There's been some diversification, which I've mentioned, and the lead gen and the ad revenue. It's all all these things add up to it being, I think it's on the way to being a sort of multi-million-dollar site. But at the moment, I think it's probably worth somewhere between 1 and 1.5 million.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Congratulations.
Yep, congrats.
It's rewarding. And this stuff can be done at a smaller scale just because there was a 90K that's gone up that much. If you buy a $9,000 site, my business partner and I, we have another site. So it's a really small site. It was around $4,000 and now it makes around $13,000 a month. And that's within 2 years. So there's opportunities even for the smaller sites on Empire Flippers to take them from, maybe 900 a month to much larger.
Okay. So I've got two kind of threads on my mind, two different things I want to ask while we're kind of on these subjects. First, just kind of going back to the fact that these sites in your portfolio have just been so successful. I think a lot of people are going to listen to this and be like, that is my biggest dream. And I want to know to do just that. I want to know how to double, triple, quadruple my businesses. So what do you just think is like the roadmap for being able to accomplish what you've accomplished with these businesses?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's one that you get multiple answers from. I think the main thing was systematizing as much as possible, hiring people. So basically, my business partner and I, we still work every day on the business, but we work on the things at the highest level things. If there's something that can be outsourced and we can train someone to do it, our aim is to create a system around that, train someone else to do it, and pay them what they deserve to do that. So that might seem difficult in the beginning, but you can go and get VAs. We've been working with a virtual assistant who publishes content for us. He also is quite good at coding. He's in the Philippines, and we don't pay him a lot of money in terms of a regular Western salary, but his level of input into the business is fantastic. And since then, we expanded into other VAs that can do other jobs that we don't have time for, because basically there's not enough hours in the day to do everything.
I think it's such a good point. Like you said, you really have to systematize and find that right talent. My other thought, as you were talking about even acquiring small businesses and being able to grow them, that leads me to the thought of, okay, well, what do you think are the biggest risks to look out for when buying content sites, whether it's, one of those smaller acquisitions or even some of the larger ones?
Yeah, and this is something that we've become better at, my business partner and I. We look at a lot of listings. We're at the stage now where we can look at sort of the bigger prices, but we still look, and I still look regularly at businesses making, 500, 1,000 a month, because a good opportunity is a good opportunity, but there's a lot of poor ones, and a lot of those come back to trends. I guess if it's going in the wrong direction, that's a bit of a red flag for me. You don't really want something that losing traffic or losing keywords in Google, things like that. I think something else would be just really digging in and understanding everything. Ask the seller questions. You have to really, if you're unsure of something, then maybe don't buy it. Really ask the questions and try and discover. If you want to know where this link came from or that link came from, or what their strategy, who wrote the content, where was the person located, there's a lot. We've made some mistakes in the past where we bought sites where the content wasn't so good. We kind of skipped over that, and then it's come back to hurt us. So there's a lot to consider, and I think asking questions is the main one.
Yeah, it's a really important note that you bring up, Josh, and making sure that you're prepared for this business acquisition, making sure that the content is quality. Because if it's not, ultimately you are going to have to go in, utilize your team to go in and produce higher quality content that serves the search intent, the person that's looking on the SERP, and making sure that the quality of the content is going to rank and it's not just going to waste. And that does lead me into something I wanted to ask you, Josh, as far as what advice would you give to maybe a first-time buyer that's looking to get into the content site space? Maybe they are eyeballing listing on our marketplace right now. They see the potential, they see the drive, and they're passionate about this niche, perhaps, for instance. And what advice would you give to them being a first-time buyer going directly into the content site space, having started off in that similar shoes yourself?
Yeah, sure. It's a tough one because it can be a daunting task buying sites. If they're on Empire Flippers and they're looking at listings, my advice is get your finances in order. Don't go speculating about, I kind of want this one, I don't want that one. I think having your either wiring a deposit or following or checking in the process is a big one, because you might find something you really want. And this happened to us once in the past, and we thought we had the listing, but then someone else already had their funds in or at least they'd wire deposit in before us, so they won the listing. Apart from that, in terms of actual site and looking at a site, I think just not overextending yourself. If it's a first-time buyer, I think buying something that maybe not going to impact your financial situation too much or put you in a really tough situation where it has to work for you, because there's a lot of risk with these. I think buying something within your means that you can work on and potentially improve, but if it goes to zero, it's not going to hurt you, then you should feel comfortable about buying, because you know that there's still going to be food on the table and the upside is always still going to be there as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And you actually had sparked a thought I had about, making sure that your financials are in order. Now, over the years, having purchased a few content sites now, Josh, have you kind of formulated a secret formula, if you will, for how much financial capital or how much expendable financial capital you have to invest in the business, to grow the content, to optimize specific blog posts? Do you have like a certain percentage or maybe an amount that you would set on a business, say in the $44,000 range?
Not really. I think every site, every niche is different. For example, if you were to buy a gardening site, that's a very broad niche. You can then take that and you could probably add another 44K worth of content if you wanted to, easily. But if you were to buy something more niche down, say, best sandwich maker website, you probably struggle to maybe spend $4,400 on content. So I think the expenditure really comes down to the niche and also your resources. We don't necessarily put back 100% of revenue back into sites. It just depends on the site, what's working best in our portfolio, and that's where we kind of direct our focus in terms of content. But I think you can just start off slow. You don't necessarily need to rush. I'm an advocate for taking your time and planning well and putting the better content out there, even if it's, say, less than or a little slower than maybe you really want to.
Yeah, I completely understand and agree with you. And, quality over quantity always, making sure that your content is high quality will in turn build up a more loyal brand trust with your audience. And I'm also curious, Josh, so what do you feel are maybe some easy growth wins when looking at a business or maybe an acquisition that you're considering adding to your portfolio? Is there anything specific that, as you mentioned earlier, okay, all of the traffic is going to maybe one or two pages. Are there any other easy growth wins, though, that you've noticed over the years of building up content sites?
Probably depends on the site. I mean, there's some design changes and things like that where we hear about all the time. You can add tables and add clearer click-through buttons and things like that. There's nothing that really stands out in terms of easy wins because it's really site dependent. You might find something on Empire Flippers that you feel, oh, well, they're not doing this, and I've seen this work in the past, or this works for me, and then we might implement something like that. But overall, not really something that's an easy win. I think beyond what sort of people already may know, I think it's going to be more of a business to business kind of consideration.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, for my next question, I want to take a step back from, growth strategies here, because you've actually offered us some really amazing insight. So I'm kind of curious about the personal perspective of all this. So how do these acquisitions sort of impact your life? It sounds like, I don't know if one of these sort of launched you into doing online business full time. Could you walk me through that a little bit and how all of a sudden one business launched into this portfolio, into this kind of full enterprise that you're running today?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So that's how it basically happened. I bought the site for $44K. I was living in Hong Kong, playing football at that stage, and moved back to Australia. And I think around the time I moved back, I bought the $90K site as a kind of, I wanted to get into this full time, but obviously $2,000 to $3,000 a month isn't going to cut it in Sydney. It might cut it in Bali or some of these places, but I'm a little too old. I'm 35 for that. So I wanted to live in Sydney. I wanted to live in Australia. I wanted to have a nice life and make this a full-time thing. So I bought the $90K site and worked hard on that for probably the first 6 months to improve it and see if it would work, because I was essentially testing my theory that this was a feasible career. And from there, it kind of snowballed where a friend of mine, he got involved. He was in a similar stage to me where he wasn't sure what he wanted to do. He got out of corporate. He joined me. I taught him some SEO, but he's got a good business mindset. So that's where we partnered up and we took it to the next level of professionalism, hired more staff, set up a company, made more acquisitions. I think we have 11 sites now in total over various price ranges. So yeah, that's sort of been the transition for me, and it's happened relatively quickly. I'd say over sort of 2 or 3 years, it's become a full-time thing and quite a lucrative one.
It's so impressive you've been able to do this in 2 to 3 years. I bet a couple of years ago when you're sort of getting out of playing football, and I'm sure you're looking out into this great unknown of like, what do I do next? Seeing where you are now, I mean, do you feel like this has been kind of the right choice, going from what you had been doing, playing football, to all of a sudden just running your own online business enterprise? Was this hopefully it had a positive impact on your life?
I mean, it has. I feel quite fortunate with how it's worked out. I mean, I also feel like we're not stopping anytime soon. We've got bigger plans. We even look at all our sites and think, well, this one can be improved. This one can have some more monetization added. There's a lot still to do. But yeah, of course, been quite happy with how it's worked out. And I just look at it and think it's not rocket science. I'm not, that smart. We're just figuring it out step by step and implementing the strategies. And yeah, this is where we've come so far.
Well, yeah, you just kind of hinted at what I wanted to ask you next. You're talking about this sort of constant unfolding with your businesses. There's always something to do, always something you want to improve. Ultimately, what are your goals for these businesses that you acquired from us? And is this like a long-term investment, or, something you're looking to turn around and sell again?
That's a good question, because it's something we go back and forth on. I mean, obviously they get to a certain stage and you really consider selling them. Even the 90K site is now worth a lot more. Some days I'll think, why don't I just sell this? But then I see the opportunity still left in it, and I see that what else can be done, and I feel like I'm leaving money on the table if I did that. So we may look to sell some, but I think we're going to look to hold a lot of them for the cash flow and just the ease of the business. There's no stock, there's no dealing with vendors, there's no dealing with listings. It's just a matter of running these sites, maintaining them, improving them slightly over time. So I think we'll hold most of them and then look to sell occasionally when we feel a site's really at its peak or it needs to be taken to the next level by someone beyond what we can do.
Okay, well, that's awesome. That's a great answer. It sounds like you guys have really sort of, I don't want to say stumbled onto something good, because there's been a lot of intentional growth and strategy throughout the process, but you do have something kind of good going here. So certainly congratulations on hitting your stride with your portfolio. I have just like a couple kind of rapid fire ending questions for you here. I'm curious if it can be deduced to this. What would you say is the secret sauce to success as a brand new buyer?
Implementing other people to train them and do the work for you.
Perfect. Okay. And what are your top 3 tools, books, anything that would help with buying and running a successful online business?
I follow tools. We use SEMrush, although Ahrefs is also very good. We use a lot of spreadsheets to track and set up our sites and work with our staff. And then I follow, there's free resources out there everyone should know. So someone like Authority Hackers, Niche Pursuits. There's so many podcasts and ways of getting good information that won't cost you. You don't have to go and sign up for a course. Of course you can, it might speed it up, but there's a lot out there that can help you improve and work on your business.
Wow, yeah, it's really great to hear that you mentioned some of those podcasts and those resources. Those were also kind of the start to my digital, career as well, getting started into this online business space. And it's funny, when I was a little bit younger, I did make a few trips to Australia when I was in the Navy. We stopped in Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne as well, Josh. So I know things can get a little rowdy in Australia, and I know how you guys like to party as well over there. So that leads me into kind of our last rapid fire question for you, Josh. What's the funniest or weirdest moment that you've had during your career as a business owner?
Oh, that's a hard question. I remember when we first started out, started getting Amazon sales, and then occasionally I was working with 2 other my close friends at the time, just sort of figuring this stuff out. And we'd often log on to Amazon and you see, because you get so excited, what's sold on Amazon, what's sold today. And then you'd start to see some of these weird things that people are buying and everything else. And then so I think that was a shock. You wouldn't even realize some of the weird stuff that people would buy back in the days. But now I just see what's sold on Amazon. I don't really blink an eye. I just think, yeah, that's fine. At least they're buying something.
Just another sale, another day. Doesn't matter what it is. Cool.
Yeah, it's the weird products are what got me too, like fidget spinners. I never thought that would have been a thing that would sell, but for a minute there, they did, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot we see seasonally that comes in and out.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I really appreciate the call again, Josh. It was a really great episode. I'm sure, our listeners will get a lot of value from it as well, too.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey everyone, so as promised, now that we've wrapped up this episode and learned about some of the hidden opportunities that content sites offer you as an investor, we wanted to connect you with some of the best listings on the Empire Flippers marketplace in the Amazon Associates, display advertising, and affiliate space. So first up, we have listing 48231, which is a electronics niche site that is monetized through Amazon display advertising and affiliate networks. So what's included with this, and something that I noticed that's a great opportunity to grow, similar to what we just spoke about, is that the fact that it has 2 websites included with this business. So it's really great that you can expand, multiple domain names or, even like multiple audiences if you're targeting specific niches or sub niches within your market, a really great chance to grow the business and scale it. And the fact that Amazon Associates revenue makes up 89% of the total income stream for this business means that there's a lot of room and potential that you can expand, possibly maybe even branching out into some other forms of monetizing the business. What the seller has included with this listing is also some SOPs and templates for future content creation. So that's always a great benefit that we see from sellers on our marketplace, that they're willing to have these templates and operating procedures already detailed and listed out for you. That way, if you do, already have a little bit of background in creating content, you can come in, use the templates that they're already using, and then just continue to grow the business following these procedures that they already have laid out for you. The link building that's been done on this site on the back end is also interesting to see, because most of the links that have been coming to this asset have been from guest posts. So a lot of guest posts, a lot of link exchanging going on versus, some of the other more difficult ways of building links. But what is interesting to see is that they've also included PBNs here. So that's maybe, more of the strategic side from the seller, as these PBNs are coming from one of their other umbrella networks. And they've also included, a few caveats with this listing to help the seller include these links in their backlink profile for a minimal fee. But this is always something that you can take further down the road in negotiations. So what do you think about this listing, Sarah?
Yeah, I got a little bit fixated on the sort of the SEO perspective on this, the fact that they've had this really interesting backlinks done with this and a few PBN links. It's just kind of an interesting framework to help support the site. It kind of made me think of the listing that sort of I was eyeing in particular, listing 48298. It's an Amazon Associates advertising and affiliate business in the automotive niche, going for 152K. I like seeing a site or a content business that has got good SEO potential. This one in particular, it's been built on an expired domain, has good age. It's got a strong backlink profile already. There's an additional 301 redirect domain included. And I don't know, I just kind of like that from a buyer's perspective, knowing that there's a bit of the framework in place to just support the business, but that you can keep building off of that. It's also got a really great diversification. So, 60% Amazon Associates, Thrive being 35% of the business, and, a niche specific affiliate program at 5%. I definitely see growth opportunities there with maybe adding a few more niche specific affiliates, knowing that, those can probably earn some higher income. And another thing that's really great with this one is, it's already got a team in place to help support content. So that's already outsourced to a freelancer. And I think it just seems to be running pretty clean and smooth. In terms of growth opportunities, there's, really not a social media presence. So a buyer could take that and use that to kind of grow in one direction. They've not really done any guest posting or anything like that. So that's another thing that could be done to really just help keep boosting the site. And there's no email list either. So again, what's not there is sometimes exactly where you want to start building and growing. The fact that this already has a foundation in place to know that you can go after those new opportunities, I think is just a sign of a really good business. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's our listings for today. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in to the Opportunity Podcast. We hope you've gained some valuable insight to the opportunities digital acquisitions offer. You can click the link in the description or visit empireflippers.com/marketplace to learn more about these businesses or other listings currently live on our platform. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a comment and subscribe to this podcast for more great content that'll be released soon. Until next time, we're your host. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Brandon, and thanks for tuning into the Opportunity Podcast.